Hello students, this is Dr. Pavan Kumar from CG classes and I will teach you biology. In my introductory lecture, you might have seen that I have discussed about the different topics, their fundamentals, which are the basics of biology, and today from that I will take one topic, that is, I think it should be better to take respiration, particularly cellular respiration, which is quite important to understand how energy is generated within the body, and that will be the topic of discussion today. So, if you know about respiration, respiration used to take place at the level of organ system also, and that is for the taking of oxygen into the body, and that part will be related to the respiratory and circulatory system together, because after taking the oxygen inside the body, it will be circulated through the blood to whole of the parts and tissues in the body. But in cellular respiration, it is important to understand what pathways are going on, how the oxygen reaches up to the particular organelle like mitochondria, and how the breakdown of glucose like material used to take place within the cell. So, that is called cellular respiration. Cellular respiration. So, I already told you respiration may be discussed at two levels, that is at organ system level, which used to take place through lungs, heart and blood. So, together with circulatory system, the respiratory system used to run, and with that the oxygen gets into the tissues of the body. Now, cellular respiration is the most important one. In that, what happened, the glucose enters inside the cell, and there its respiration used to occur, and that is called aerobic respiration, which used to take place in higher animals and plants. But in case of anaerobic organisms like bacteria, anaerobic type of respiration used to take place. So, this is organ system level and also at cellular level. So, if I want to talk about cellular respiration, we must know certain fundamentals. And what are those fundamentals which we should know? That is pathways. What pathways are associated? Pathways that are associated with it, associated pathways you may call. Now, what other things we need to understand is about high energy compounds. And the most vital thing which you should know about it is that what role is there of that of hormone and enzymes. So, as far as pathways are concerned, there are so many pathways which are associated to respiration. As you might have heard about glycolysis, and likewise glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis, so gluconeogenesis is very important, and likewise we may have several pathways which are of two types. So, let me tell you one thing which is the fundamental of the pathways is that in our body metabolic pathways are there, which comes in the category of metabolism. Metabolism means whatever catabolic and anabolic processes are going on within the body, they together collectively called metabolism. So, it is of two types, that is anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism means where the smaller molecules get associated or get added up and form a bigger molecule. That process is called anabolism. While in catabolism, a bigger molecule or a larger molecule get dissociated or get broken down into smaller molecules. So these are the two important pathways. It is also called catabolic process and anabolic process, or catabolic process and anabolic process. So these are the terms. Likewise, metabolism is to be considered for each and every pathways, because energy used to involve in each of them. So this catabolic process, all these catabolic processes used to come in the category of catabolism. Glycolysis, lysis means breakdown, means some larger molecule is getting broken down into smaller. So this is lysis, that's why lysis word is there. Likewise, genesis. Genesis means getting associated, getting added up, means something is getting synthesized. So synthesized by the addition of molecules. So this is called genesis. So this used to come in the category of anabolism. This is the example of anabolism. These are of ana type, anabolism. And this is catabolism. So one more thing I want to tell you, that glycolysis simply means the process in which glucose molecules get degraded into smaller or get broken down into smaller molecules like pyruvic acid. That's why it is called glycolysis. Likewise, glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis means here the glycogen, which is the stored amount of carbohydrate present in liver as well as in muscles, got broken down. So this process is called glycogenolysis. So breaking up of glycogen molecules. Glycogen, you know, the polymer of glucose. So likewise, lipolysis. Lipolysis means breaking down of fat or lipid. Glucogenesis. Glucogenesis means formation of glucose. But gluconeogenesis is very important. Why? Because in case of gluconeogenesis, neo means new. Neo stands for new. So gluconeogenesis means synthesis of glucose from the compounds other than carbohydrates. That compound should not be carbohydrate, other than carbohydrates, then such process is called gluconeogenesis. That is synthesis of glucose from some lipid origin, or the compounds which is coming from lipid or from some amino acid. So that sort of process is called gluconeogenesis. So it is very important. Gluconeogenesis is quite important. So we have an idea about it. Glycogenesis. Glycogenesis means synthesis of glycogen. Whatever is going to be stored in liver or muscle, that gets synthesized by the process of glycogenesis, means synthesis of glycogen. So these are the processes which are very common and are going on via metabolic pathways in our body. So let us know what the role of important hormone is there in these processes. So gluconeogenesis, let me rub it down. So gluconeogenesis is promoted by some hormones. Gluconeogenesis is promoted by some hormones in our body, like glucagon, epinephrine, growth hormone. So it is an important fact for the students who are preparing for competitive exams also, because these are the hormones: glucagon, cortisol, epinephrine, growth hormone. These hormones are responsible for promoting the gluconeogenesis. I already told you gluconeogenesis means formation of glucose from the sources other than carbohydrate. So it is an important process, it is an important phenomena, or you can say a process which is very important that we should know. So gluconeogenesis is promoted by these, although we will see about glycogenesis also. Glycogenesis means formation of glycogen, formation or synthesis of glycogen. So when the synthesis of glycogen used to take place, the process is called glycogenesis, and it is promoted by what? Glycogenesis means when the glycogen will form, obviously the glucose level in the blood will get low. So it is promoted by insulin. Promoted by insulin. On the other hand, glycogenolysis means here the glycogen is forming. So glycogen is forming means the glucose level is getting lower down, but here glycogenolysis is taking place, so the glucose level is going up in the blood. So it is promoted by glucagon, which is a contradictory hormone to insulin. So promoted by glucagon. So we already know insulin and glucagon are the two hormones. Insulin is secreted from, if we want to understand from where that are secreted, you might have learned, if you are not knowing that fact, you should know that insulin is secreted from beta cells of pancreas. Beta cells of islets of Langerhans. Pancreas. Likewise, glucagon is secreted from alpha cells. In the same manner, if we look on cortisol, cortisol is secreted from cortex of adrenal gland, that is cortex of adrenal gland used to secrete cortisol. In the same manner, epinephrine is secreted from medulla of adrenal gland. So we should know all these things. Growth hormone is secreted from anterior pituitary. So these are the facts that we must know. So in this way, such a process used to go in our body, and this is the important part of metabolic pathway. But let me tell you some other aspect which is very important to know, that glycogen is nothing, glycogen is nothing but stored carbohydrate in animals that gets stored in the liver or in the muscle, stored form of carbohydrate in animals. Likewise, starch. You have heard about starch. So I think you might have heard in earlier classes about starch. So this is the stored form of carbohydrate in plants. So starch is usually present, starch is a polymer, and it is usually present in the form of two you can say two types of polymers which are just the subunit of it, and these are amylose and amylopectin. Amylose and amylopectin. And one important thing I want to remind you is regarding that this is the linear polymer, this is the branched polymer. Likewise, glycogen is a branched polymer. This is a branched polymer. Branched biopolymer. It means it contains the subunit of glucose. Likewise, it also contains the subunit of glucose. But a difference is that here linear polymer and branched polymer both are present, and here only branched polymer will be present in the structure of glycogen. And how the bonding used to occur? Bonding is like this. I already told you the structure of glucose in my previous introductory lecture. So you might have seen that this is the basic structure of glucose. So this is alpha glucose, and likewise we can see the structure of beta glucose. Just simply make the structure, it is very easy, nothing is there, but the orientation at the first carbon is only different. So you might be known with this fact that here the orientation OH will be on the downside and here it will be on upper side, and both are together called anomers. So this is beta glucose. And I told you that beta glucose is present where? In cellulose. So that's why beta 1,4 linkage is present in cellulose. But now I want to see that how amylopectin can be made. So here branching will be there, and for branching 1 alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. Let me show you. So this is the first position and this is the sixth position. So alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage, alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage will be present. So in amylopectin both sort of glycosidic linkages will be there, that is alpha 1,6 and alpha 1,4, because a linear chain will be there together with branch. So this is the fundamental, and I am just telling you to understand that glucose is the basic monomer or the subunit by which such polymers are formed in nature, and by the hydrolysis of such compounds which contain glucose we can obtain energy. So you might be aware with the fact that the ultimate source of energy is sun. Sun is the ultimate source of energy, from where the energy is coming and being trapped by autotrophs, that is plants, that can prepare its own food, that is autotroph. So that are plants, and stored in the form of starch. So here the energy is stored in the form of starch, and that will be taken by animals. And here we got the concept that glucose is present in starch. So on being hydrolyzed, glucose will be obtained to the animals, and the glucose will further go to cellular respiration, and there it will be, glucose can be there in the body in stored form. I told you in muscles as well as in liver it will be stored, and the glucose will be utilized on demand by the cells, and cellular respiration used to go. While in case of microorganisms, such thing not used to occur because cellular respiration will be there, but oxygen is not required. Here the respiration is aerobic, so oxygen will be required, aerobic respiration. So oxygen will be required in that, and by that the cycles will be like Krebs cycle used to be carried out and the energy will be liberated, and that sort of respiration is more efficient. While glycolysis used to occur in both. Glycolysis is the process which used to occur in both, that is in higher animals as well as in microorganisms. So glycolysis used to occur in microorganisms, that is of anaerobic type, if the respiration is of anaerobic type, as well as in the higher animals and plants which has actually aerobic type of respiration where oxygen is utilized. So this is the fundamental, because glycolysis is the common phenomenon for both aerobic and anaerobic process, aerobic process as well as anaerobic process. So we must remember that glycolysis is common in both. Now another fact is that whatever CO2 is there in atmosphere get fixed by the help of photosynthesis process, by which starch is synthesized. So this is called carbon fixation, means the gaseous carbon used to be converted into the solid form, that is starch. So that's why the process is called carbon fixation. You might have heard about C3 cycle, C4 cycle and photosynthesis, that is Hill reaction. So all these things are to be taught in the class, but what happened that all these things are the topic of discussion further, but this thing is important, that this phenomenon, that is fixation of carbon dioxide into starch form, is called carbon fixation, changing of carbon dioxide into starch form. And another important fact is that H2O is utilized, H2O that is taken from the soil, and this oxygen gets liberated into the atmosphere during photosynthesis. So oxygen, whatever is being liberated, whatever oxygen is getting liberated by photosynthesis comes from where? That comes from soil. So this is also an important fact, this also a very relevant fact regarding this. And I told you that cellular respiration used to go in the animals, and by that cellular respiration energy can be obtained at cellular level. Now let us see what are high energy compounds that used to involve, and also the enzymes, what enzymes are there which are essential at cellular level of respiration. So the high energy compounds like ATP, now GTP, likewise UTP, CTP, NAD or FAD. If I will write in reduced form, it will be NADH, FADH2. So these are the high energy compounds which can be seen within the cells commonly. But what are the different roles which are played by this? ATP is called very readily available currency of energy in the body. Likewise, GTP used to be used where GTP is used in signaling process, in the signal transduction. In signal transduction, also it is used in the polymerization of spindle fibers. Polymerization of spindle fibers. You might have heard the name of spindle fibers which used to work for cell division. So the polymerization of actin and such monomers used to occur with the help of with the utilization of GTP. So it is very important. Likewise, in several processes it used to involve. We should have a rough idea about it. Likewise, UTP. UTP is involved where? It used to involve in glycogenesis. Very important use is there in glycogenesis. I will tell you in this lecture only how UTP is utilized. And CTP. CTP is utilized in synthesis of lipid. So it used to be utilized commonly in the synthesis of lipid. ATP, adenosine triphosphate. GTP, guanosine triphosphate. You should know the full form and the chemical structure also, but I will tell you the structure of ATP and its other structure subsequently in the other lectures. Likewise, UTP, uridine triphosphate, CTP, cytidine triphosphate, and what is NAD? Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and if it is associated with hydrogen or hydrogen is associated with it, it is in reduced form, and if it is only NAD plus, it is in oxidized form. Likewise, FAD is flavin adenine dinucleotide. So these are the two compounds which are very essential and serve as electron carrier, used to serve as electron carrier and also giving proton in electron transport system. So it used to serve as electron carrier, and also it is capable of providing proton that is H plus to electron transport system. Likewise, this is also the important entity FADH2. It also used to serve for the same purpose, but both have different energy equivalence. As I told you earlier that one NAD can be said to be equal to that of 3 ATP, or you can say energy equivalence having 3 ATP, because when one electron donated by NAD will pass through the electron transport system, 3 ATP will be generated subsequently. Likewise, if FAD is donating the electron and it also used to send the proton there from the matrix of the mitochondria, and there 2 ATPs are generated by that particular activity. So energy equivalence is like that, and also GTP I told you is just equivalent to single ATP. And also I would like to tell you one more thing, that there is a basic difference between NADPH and NADH. NADH and NADPH. So what is the basic difference? The basic difference is that NADPH is usually associated with anabolic, NADPH is associated with anabolic process like photosynthesis, while NADH is associated with catabolic process like respiration. So this is the basic difference, and although both are coenzymes, both are reduced form of coenzymes, both are reduced form of coenzymes. As you already have seen that coenzymes are the helper of enzymes which used to work together with enzymes or increasing their activity, helping in that. So that sort of work is being done by these compounds. And one thing more I want to tell you, that NADH is synthesized from which vitamin? It used to be synthesized from niacin. Niacin is the vitamin, that is vitamin B3. Vitamin B3, that is called niacin. Niacin causes the production of NAD in that sense, and although if we see F8DH2, it is synthesized by which vitamin? Vitamin B2, that is riboflavin. See its name, from there you will have the idea. Flavin adenine dinucleotide, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. So here nicotinamide is there, which is the other form of niacin, so it is synthesized from there. Here riboflavin used to give the flavin group, and F8DH2 is synthesized, or FAD is synthesized. So both are having the origin from there, so it is also important to know. Other thing is that this is dinucleotide, NAD is dinucleotide. Likewise FAD is also dinucleotide, but these all are mononucleotides associated with phosphates. So if you know, nucleoside means nitrogenous base plus ribose sugar, ribose or deoxyribose sugar. So this is called nucleoside, while in nucleotide, what else is there? Phosphate is getting attached and it will form nucleotide. So it means the difference is of phosphate. Nucleoside do not contain phosphate, it contains only nitrogenous base and ribose or deoxyribose sugar, while nucleotide carries phosphate also. So that's the main difference between that. So it means these are all the nucleotides with having extra phosphates, by which energy is obtained on the breaking of bond. And here these are the coenzymes, NADH and F8DH2, these are the coenzymes. So I already told you that NADH and NADPH, which is associated with photosynthesis process. So the difference is that, and although both are coenzymes. And another important fact I want to tell you is that NAD is the most common form which can be found in the cell, NAD plus. It is commonly found, and this is in lesser amount. Although NADPH is common one. And NADP plus is uncommon. So these are the two uncommon. So these are the two uncommon forms, means this will be present in lesser amount in the cell, although these two are present in higher amount in the cell. And I told you that this will be found associated with respiration, and this will be found associated with photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is basically a major anabolic process, while respiration is a major catabolic process. So although respiration and photosynthesis together goes on into plants, and the respiration process used to be associated with animals. So this is the basic thing. Now after having an idea about the high energy compounds, we also require to know their structures. Although we talked about the structure in our previous lecture, that is in introduction, but still we will see what are the structures of the high energy compounds, particularly ATP, UTP, GTP, CTP. These are all important. But let us know what is the structure of ATP. So for making the structure of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. This is adenine. You know the nitrogenous bases, so this is adenine, and this is ribose sugar. It is very easy. We have discussed this earlier. So for showing the high energy bonds, we need to just make it like this, so that we may recognize these bonds are of high energy. You can see these bonds, particularly these two bonds, and these have energy about 7300 calorie per mole. Although this bond contains lesser energy and it does not easily get break down, and it carries lesser energy, about 3000, or you can say 1800 to 3000 calories per mole. But these two are high energy bonds. Particularly on the breaking of these two bonds, energy is released. In case this phosphate is getting separated out, as you have seen that ATP often gets break down into ADP plus PI. PI is inorganic phosphate. This is inorganic phosphate and this is adenosine diphosphate. So on the breaking of bond, energy is released, and this you can say this can also be written as in the form of free energy, that is delta G, and it is equal to minus 7300 calories per mole. So this process is exergonic process, means energy is released. You can write exothermic or exergonic process. We have read this thing in thermodynamics, particularly in chemistry. So we have an idea, and since the process is exergonic, this is a spontaneous process, if you want to know about the time. So this is what the structure of adenosine triphosphate, which we often used to call ADP. And I also told you this is the most readily available form of energy, and which is utilized often in metabolic pathways, and you might have seen it at several places, and we will discuss it further. So we can also replace this group. Suppose in case you want to replace this group, suppose in case we want to replace this group with that of guanosine, then what will happen?
So this will be the structure of guanine. We already have seen the structure of adenine, and this will be the structure of guanine. Why? Because guanine will be the part of this molecule together with ribose sugar and that of 3 phosphate groups. It will become GTP, that is guanine triphosphate. So we need to replace it by this. Here we need to replace it by this group, then it will be GTP. Likewise, we will see the structure of other purines and pyrimidines. So I already told you that these molecules are just the nitrogenous bases, means heterocyclic compounds. Particularly these are purines. In purines we can also numbered it according to the standard system, that is from where the numbering starts, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and likewise this one is 7, 8, and this one is 9. So the connection to that of carbon, it means the glycosidic linkage will be formed from the 9th position. So it is essential to know that. So we can just make the bond from here. This bond will be present in this place and it will be connected to ribose. So thereby, by connecting with ribose, guanine will become guanosine as a nucleoside. So this is an important conceptual thing. And now I will tell you the structure of those of pyrimidine. Because I already told you the purines. Suppose we will draw the structure of cytosine. So this particular group, that is cytosine, is a pyrimidine because it is also a heterocyclic compounds, but these are the pyrimidines which we used to code in that of DNA RNA molecules, because adenine, guanine, both are purines, while cytosine, thymine are pyrimidines, but in case of RNA, uracil is present in place of thymine. So this is the important thing. And now how the numbering will be done in this case? We will start our numbering from here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the numbering will be started from here and it will go like this. So we should know how the numbering used to happen, and this first position is to be joined with that of ribose. So this is the technical thing which we should know. So it will become CTP, that is cytidine triphosphate. So likewise we will make the other molecules, that is particularly TTP. This molecule is of thymine. So we need to make TTP, so thymidine triphosphate, and for that thymine is required to be attached to that of ribose sugar. This is a pentose sugar. This ribose sugar is a pentose sugar. I already told you this thing. So when it will be attached and this adenine is replaced by this, that is thymine, then it will be TTP, that is thymidine triphosphate. Likewise, we may also make UTP. It is very interesting, and if you just practice it and make it, you will have clear conceptual things about the biomolecules, particularly in just explaining the formation of energy. So it will become easier. So you need to know this thing and also make it in practice. So we can just numbered it accordingly, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So both are, all these where the single ring is present, that are pyrimidines. That is in CTP cytosine is there, which is a pyrimidine. Likewise in TTP thymine is there, which is a pyrimidine, and here UTP, it will form UTP. UTP is uridine triphosphate. So I will write the name also. This is cytidine triphosphate. This is GTP, guanosine triphosphate. So likewise TTP, thymidine triphosphate, and this is UTP, uridine triphosphate. Although I want to tell you one thing that you should keep in mind, that TTP is not basically involved in producing the energy in the metabolic pathways. You can find it in the synthesis of DNA, that is nucleic acid, or you may find its use in PCR, that is polymerase chain reaction, when you are adding the nucleotides. So TTP will be used there. Although these three molecules are often used for producing energy, and these are just like ATP. And for making the structure, I just make this thing clear, that we need to just make this group over here, and together with ribose sugar and those of phosphates, it will become the entire molecule, that is UTP, CTP, GTP, whatever you want to make. So by that, whatever bonds are there in between that, that is high energy bonds, which you may also called as phospho anhydride bonds. Such bond is also called phosphoanhydride bond, whatever is present, and that is resulting into the production of high energy. That's why these are called high energy bonds. As I told you, the energy whatever is produced on the breaking of these bonds. So these are high energy bonds, this one, and I told you that the energy will be relatively less when this bond will get broken down. So I already told you this fact. Now I want to tell you one more thing which is related to that of energy production, that is regarding the two molecules that are basically NAD and FAD, what we were talking earlier. These are very conceptual things and also very easy, but what happened that students are often not fond of making the molecules, making their structures. That's why students are always not interested in these facts, and that's why the conceptual clarity is not there regarding this, particularly in the production of energy, or you can say cellular level bioenergetics. But we should know these things, then we can make the concept only. So let me tell you about FAD and, or you can say FADH2 and NADH. These are the reduced form. So let me tell you how the energy is obtained from these particular high energy molecules, or you can say high energy compounds, and they are different states, that is reduced and oxidized state used to give energy by undergoing redox reaction, because these are capable of accepting the electrons, and also these can donate electron in electron transport chain system. So that is there. So let us see their structures. So first I need to rub it down, then I will tell you. Same molecule I will drop to some extent, then after I will add the required group, that is flavin in that case, and in this case nicotinamide. So we will see the structure. So suppose we want to represent the molecule of NADH. So if we want to represent the molecule like NADH, so this is the oxidized form of NADH, means this is NAD plus. This is NAD plus. The full form is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. So we can see that two nucleotides are attached here, because phosphate group together with ribose sugar together with some other organic compound, these are together forming nucleotide. Likewise here this is nicotinamide, this particular group is nicotinamide. And dinucleotide word is there. Why? Because two nucleotides are attached. This together form a nucleotide because nitrogenous base is there together with that of ribose sugar and phosphate. So it will form one nucleotide. Likewise, one nucleotide is also present here, that is adenine together with ribose sugar, and the other thing is that is phosphate group. So together they form a nucleotide. So two nucleotides are assembled together. That's why its name is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. This is adenine. And this is oxidized form, that is NAD plus. See, the plus valency is here because nitrogen has valency 3. Because one more bond is there, so plus charge has come. Since it is only capable of forming 3 bonds, but here it is forming 4 bonds, so obviously plus charge will come, and it is in oxidized form, that is NAD plus. Likewise, if we want to represent NADH, then what will happen? We need to just remove this bond and we can make like this, and here hydrogen will come, that is one extra hydrogen will get attached, and it will be NADH form, because here now the plus charge will go and the bond will just shift to this position, and here extra hydrogen will get accommodated. How it will look? Suppose I want to make this thing only. So earlier it was like only H is attached. This is carbon and only H is attached. It was the case when the molecule was present in oxidized form. When we want to make it in reduced form, it will be this position will be like this. This is for ring, and here the carbon will be attached to 2 hydrogens, so one more hydrogen will get accommodated here. That's why this form is NADH. So it should be known conceptually so that you may understand how the interchange between oxidized and reduced form gives the energy, because this is an important concept. Likewise, we can see about FADH2 also. I am writing in reduced form, that is NADH, and here it is in oxidized form. This structure, particular point of this structure in oxidized form, this particular point of this particular structure in that of reduced form. So it should be known to us. Now I will make the FADH2 molecule likewise. So we can see this is the FAD molecule, and here 2 hydrogen is need to be accommodated if it is represented in reduced form. So this is present in oxidized form. We can write FAD, flavin adenine dinucleotide. This is flavin group. This particular group is flavin. This is ribitol sugar. Ribitol. It is just like ribose sugar. Only the change is that ribose sugar contains aldehyde group, but it do not contain aldehyde group. Its structure is like this. The structure is like this, but in case of ribose sugar, that aldehyde used to come at this place. So it has an aldehydic form. Ribose sugar is an aldehyde form, and this contains alcohol at this particular position. So only the difference is that this is ribitol sugar, these are phosphates, this is adenine, and this one is the ribose sugar, as we are making in that of ring form. This is particularly the ribose sugar which is present in ring form. Only one ribose sugar is present, ribitol group is present together with 2 phosphates and a flavin group, but it is just the oxidized form. And when will we make the structure of reduced form? So what will be the structure? I am just making this structure only on this place. We can also show it like this. This position can also be represented like this. Why? Because in making the hydrocarbons, or you can say in making the chains of hydrocarbon, suppose you want to write butane. Butane has 4 carbons, so you may also write like this. In biochemistry means CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3. So we must be aware of this thing. So suppose somewhere the structure is given like that, then we need not to write CH3 because CH3 is already there in its representation. So that's why I am making like that. So this particular group, that is flavin, is represented in reduced form. See, here the hydrogen is attached. This bond has got broken down and hydrogen is attached. Likewise, here at this position also hydrogen has got attached. That's why its form is FADH2. So in representing the FADH2 molecule, we need to write this structure on place of this structure, and other things will be same. So these are the 2 forms, that is FAD and FADH2, reduced and oxidized form, which is the cause of production of energy. As we know that these 2 molecules, that is NADH and the NAD plus form, that is its oxidized form. Likewise, FADH2 and its oxidized form FAD is responsible for the production of energy, since these are the electron carriers and used to carry the electron to the electron transport system, where the energy is synthesized at last with the help of ATP synthetase enzyme, where the ATP is formed due to the gradient of proton which is produced across the inner mitochondrial membrane. So this is the concept, we will see later on, but now we will switch over to the other concepts which are related to the production of energy in this context. So we have seen about these compounds, and now we will also got the idea about some of the linkages. As I told you that phosphoanhydride linkage is present, which is representing the high energy bond, in particularly high energy compounds like ATP, GTP and all those compounds, whatever we have discussed. Likewise, we should also know that N-linked and O-linked glycosidic linkages are there. As I told you that N-linked glycosidic linkage is present between that of adenine, as I have shown on the 9th position of that particular molecule, the ribose is attached by its first position. And in ribose we must know that if we are making this molecule, suppose this is the ribose sugar particularly, and this is adenine, whatever I have made earlier. So we can see that this is N-linked glycosidic linkage, because carbon at first position is linked with the nitrogen which is present at 9th position in the nitrogenous base. So this is important to know. This is N-linked glycosidic linkage, N-linked glycosidic linkage. Another thing whatever used to come always in our study is that these are the positions which are represented by 1 prime, 2 prime, in order to make the difference between numbering. Suppose you are numbering this one, that is nitrogenous base, we are using 1, 2, 3, 4, likewise this is the 9th position. We suppose likewise we used to start our numbering from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the pattern of numbering it. And in case you are numbering the ribose sugar, there the positions are indicated by prime, that is 1 prime, 1 prime, 2 prime, 3 prime, 4 prime, 5 prime. So you might have heard that the DNA is from 5 prime to 3 prime in chain, because we used to represent it in that manner, because it will come further in the study of genetic engineering and all those things, whatever we will discuss further. But the thing is that suppose we are representing DNA that it is in the form like this, that is from 5 prime to 3 prime position. So the indication is for this, that is this is the 5 prime and this is the 3 prime position, whatever is indicated in that. And particularly if you are representing the phosphodiester bond, that is phosphorus will be there. I am representing this ribose sugar, and here some nitrogenous base is attached. Suppose some nitrogenous base is attached. Then what happen? It will be attached to that of ribose sugar at 3 prime position. So here phosphodiester linkage is present. Suppose somebody may ask where you will represent the phosphodiester bond. This bond is called phosphodiester bond because here the phosphate is linked with 2 sugars, that is 2 ribose sugars at the positions where carbon is present. So that's why this linkage is very unique in this, and it is called phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond, and it will get ionized. Suppose hydrogen will be removed, so it will get negative charge. By that reason DNA got negative charge. So this is the thing which comes in the concept, but the thing is we are just studying about the energy. Now we will see how the energy is produced particularly in the system, and what are the conceptual things behind the production of energy by using high energy compounds. So let us see that thing.
So first thing is there by which energy is generated is phosphorylation. It is a very important concept and you must know this. What is phosphorylation? It is very simple. Why? Because the attachment of phosphate group to any of the organic molecule, or you can say particularly carbohydrate or protein, is called phosphorylation. means attachment of phosphate. Even to the ADP also, when the phosphate gets attached, phosphorylation used to take place. So there requires energy for the formation of bond. Energy is required. So let us see what is phosphorylation, as I told right now. So phosphorylation means attachment of phosphate group to the organic compound particularly any carbohydrate moiety or like that of ATP. So right now we will discuss how this thing used to take place, but an overall idea is there that in the formation of bond energy is required. So why energy is required? Because bond needs to be formed. So for that energy is required, and that process is endothermic from the thermodynamic point of view. Means delta G will be positive. But while in case breaking of bond used to take place, the process is exothermic, means the energy will be released on the breakdown of the bond. So this is the basic concept. Another thing I want to tell you is that phosphorylation used to take place in the signaling process also, where protein kinases have their role. What protein kinases used to do? Protein kinases used to help in the attachment of phosphate group. So this is the work of protein kinase, and to that of protein, phosphate is get attached, and by that will serve like an important moiety in the signaling pathway. So this thing is important, that will serve as important element in the signaling pathway. So this thing is very important, that I just told you this thing, that protein kinases particularly if you find this kinase term, you need to remember that the work is for facilitating the attachment of phosphate group, that is phosphorylation. So this is the basic work of all the kinases. So if kinase used to come anywhere, you might have this idea. So protein kinases used to involve mostly in most of the processes in the cell. So that thing I have written because this is an important point. Another thing is that suppose ADP is getting formed from ADP, then what will happen? Inorganic phosphate will be attached to that of ADP. I already have shown you the structure of ATP. There you might have seen that 3 phosphates are attached. In case 1 phosphate will be detached from there, the bond breaking will occur and the energy will be released. But if we want to make a new bond to that of ATP, there we require energy to form a new high energy phosphate bond. So that thing is there, and here I am showing you that in case ADP is combining with inorganic phosphate, this is inorganic phosphate. And what is getting formed? That is ATP. So it might occur. Now we will see what other things used to occur within the cell. So this is the overall idea about phosphorylation. So what are other processes that used to occur? In case we think about NAD or FAD. So these are usually present as NADH and FADH2. Second point is that NADH and FADH2. How these used to serve for the biochemical reactions providing energy. So this is an important fact. Why? Because NADH and FADH2 used to accept the electron, because these used to serve as electron carrier in the pathways, and thereafter they used to donate the electron to the electron transport system, and they also used to provide proton there, and the proton gradient is formed across the inner mitochondrial membrane, and due to which by the chemiosmotic theory the ATP synthetase enzyme used to work and ATP molecule get resulted, that is formation of ATP used to occur. So this is an important concept, and for that reason we can write that these are electron carriers, or these are the acceptor of electrons, in particularly in metabolic pathways. I am writing the same thing as I told. It is very important to understand this concept. Although later we will discuss about electron transport system after finishing this particular topic, but we need to understand this, so I am telling you in short. So this thing is important, that by donating the electron or by providing the proton there in the mitochondria, particularly near the inner mitochondrial membrane, they used to work, because in the inner mitochondrial membrane what happened? Several proteins are there that are serving as system of enzymes, that are serving as centers or proteins, where such proteins or enzymes used to work for creating the gradient and formation of energy, because when the gradient will be created, then only energy will be formed. Later on we will discuss about chemiosmotic theory in elaborate form, and that will be our topic of discussion. But right now I am telling you that how NADH and FADH2 used to serve for providing energy. Now one important thing I want to tell you, and that is regarding the concept of stability, because if here I will tell you, because here the space is there. So in case unstable state is present, this is an unstable state of a molecule. I am writing molecule also. Now it is going to a stable state. So this thing also used to happen in the metabolic pathways. Some compounds are in their unstable form, and that used to get transformed to stable form. Then what happened? That energy will be released, because here the energy will be more, E will be more, or energy is high, and here energy is low. So here this energy will be released, because whatever difference of energy is there, that will be released, and that particular energy will be trapped for bond formation, new bond formation, particularly the new bond of phosphate. In that form the energy will be trapped, and particularly by ATP molecule. So you can say it will be trapped, and here this energy will be utilized in the formation of ATP from ADP. So this thing also used to happen. For example, I can say that phosphoenol pyruvate get transformed into pyruvate form. So it is an unstable form, and from there it gets transformed into a stable form, and the energy will be utilized in the formation of bond. So what happened? That the ATP will be synthesized. We will see that in glycolysis. Further I will talk about glycolysis. We will see that thing there. But here whatever I am talking about is that phosphoenol pyruvate has instability. It has high energy, and that energy is trapped by ADP molecule for the generation of ATP, and likewise by just giving the energy it will turn into pyruvate molecule. So that is a more stable form. So that concept also used to work in the generation of energy at several places in metabolic pathways. So this is regarding the concept by which we can understand how the transformation of energy used to take place and how the bond formation used to occur. And this thing I already told you that in the formation of bond, energy will be utilized. In the formation of bond, energy will be utilized or required. While in the breaking of bond, energy will be generated. So here we can see that thing, that here I am talking about stability and instability, and how that energy is utilized, and how that energy is utilized in the formation of high energy compound like ATP by the formation of new phosphate bond, and at all the places the enzymes used to work for catalyzing that particular reaction. Now we will discuss about the other concept which is related to this particular metabolic pathway, and this is particularly about the enzyme, how the enzymes used to work. So let me tell you something which is important regarding this, and that is regarding the enzyme. I already told you that there are 6 classes of enzymes which are very important to know, and I already have told this thing in introduction, and these are you might remember this, and that was particularly created in 1961, that I already discussed. So transferases, EC2, hydrolases, EC3, ligases, EC4. I am writing this in order to make a sort of revision so that you may follow the concept. So isomerases, EC5, because this is just the order in which we should remember this thing. And now ligases, EC6. So we already have discussed that oxidoreductases used to So we can say that oxidation can be just indicated by loss of hydrogen or gain of oxygen and vice versa. You can say vice versa. Vice versa means just the reverse is true. So it is very important to know the oxidation. Likewise, you may say about reduction, that in reduction gain of hydrogen, or you can say attachment of hydrogen will be there. So the reverse will be true in case of reduction, means the reverse of this. So this will be about oxidation reduction process, and we are discussing about oxidoreductases. Now transferases. What is the work of transferases? Transferases used to help in the transfer of group. So we will also see some of the examples of these which will be there in glycolysis and that of Krebs cycle. So what are the main enzymes which are there for for giving the examples of these processes? So we will see those names. Likewise, the most important enzymes which used to come in the category of oxidoreductases is that of dehydrogenases. Dehydrogenases. We will see in the pathways later on. I will talk about that, but I am just telling you the name so that you will have the idea about it. And transferases. In transferases, what are those enzymes? That are like kinases. Kinases, I just told you that it used to serve for the transfer of phosphate group. Likewise, what are the enzymes that are there in category of lyases? These are like synthetases. Aldolases. Likewise, enolases. So there are several enzymes, but I am telling you just the most common names. But when I will discuss about pathway, I will tell you which enzyme used to come in which category. So these are just the common forms. And I already told you that lyases do not utilize water molecule for its action, and also often double bond used to get formed after its action, and the particular bond which is there with functional group get just detached or broken down, and a new double bond gets formed. So it is important to note. Likewise, I will tell you some example of isomerases. Aconitases. It is there in Krebs cycle. Likewise, triose, phosphate, isomerase, phosphoglucoisomerase. So there are several enzymes, but I am telling the names which are very common, and these used to serve as an important part in that of metabolic pathway, particularly in Krebs cycle and that of glycolysis. Likewise, hydrolases that are very common, and you often know that are like peptidases. Likewise, another one is lipases, etc. So these are hydrolases, means it will utilize water molecule for its action, because hydrolases utilize water for doing the hydrolysis. So it should be noted. And the other thing which I want to tell you is that it is about ligases, that the last one. So in case of
So it is DNA ligase is the best example. So these enzymes, these different classes of enzymes used to serve for different processes, or you can say different sort of activity in the formation of bond, as well as at certain time for the cleavage of bond, at certain instances in the biochemical reactions in the metabolic pathways. So this thing is very important. Now I would like to switch over to the process which is very important, that how the glucose level gets maintained in the blood, and then after I will tell you about glycogenesis.
Dear students, we have some key points to note regarding this topic, that is generation of energy within the cell. Here I have written that the cellular respiration, or we may also call it as cellular level bioenergetics, is related to generation of energy by catabolic processes that occur within the cell. The synthesis and breakdown of molecules are found to occur via metabolic pathways with the formation or utilization of energy. So the concept is there. I told you the catabolic and anabolic processes which usually together come in the category of metabolism. I already explained this thing. Now in the second point I have written that the anaerobic respiration is carried out with partial oxidation of substrate. Here the partial oxidation of substrate is taking place, as you have seen that in one case lactic acid is formed, while in another type of anaerobic respiration alcohol is formed. So both are partial oxidation products, while in case of aerobic respiration we have full oxidation, or you may say we have complete oxidation. There CO2 and H2O is formed as the result of that. So this is the fact that I have written here, therefore found to be less efficient process in comparison to that of aerobic respiration process that I already explained. Therefore 2 ATPs are generated by anaerobic respiration. Since here the oxidation is partial, so only 2 ATPs are generated as the result, as we have seen in the two different processes, anaerobic processes that I explained you. And in aerobic respiration process 38 ATPs are, or you can say 38 ATP molecules are generated, and that is quite enough in comparison to that. And this 38 ATP is the net gain, because 2 ATP I told you that will be utilized in the glycolysis process. When I will deal with glycolysis I will tell you. So the 2 ATP will be utilized in the glycolysis process itself. So only 38 ATP net gain will be there in aerobic respiration process. Now we will see the next point. Here I have written that glycolysis is a common pathway for both, that is anaerobic and aerobic respiration. In both the glycolysis will be there first, then after the process will proceed, and it occurs in cytoplasm. Now the next fact is that electron transport system, or in short we can call it as ETS, is a set of proteins or enzyme systems that used to serve as electron acceptor and found to be located in inner mitochondrial membrane in case of eukaryotes. But in prokaryotes I have written that it is found in membrane folds, or you can say in the organelle like mesosomes which are associated with that, particularly in case of prokaryotes. So this difference is that you must note this point because it is very important. Now the next thing is that Krebs cycle or TCA. TCA means tricarboxylic acid cycle. Why the name is tricarboxylic acid? Because citric acid contains 3 carboxyl group. Citric acid contain 3 carboxyl group, that's why its name is TCA. We will see the structure when I will tell you the particular pathway, that is Krebs cycle, then we will see. But the thing is that its name is citric acid cycle also. Now we will see this point that Krebs cycle used to occur in mitochondrial matrix in case of eukaryotic cell. ATP is regarded to be a readily available energy currency within the cell because ATP is most frequently used. That fact is there in this. Now we will see that point whatever I have written here, that is ATP, GTP, UTP and CTP. I already told you the name, that is adenosine triphosphate,
and guanosine triphosphate, uridine triphosphate and cytidine triphosphate are all regarded to be high energy compounds since carrying high energy phosphate bonds, particularly phosphoanhydride linkage that I have written in the bracket. Additionally, NADH and FADH2 are coenzymes that helps in the activity of dehydrogenases. You will see wherever such particular high energy compounds will be involved, these are found just to help the dehydrogenases, that is particularly these are involved in the transfer of hydrogen atom there. You will see that, and produce energy by working as electron carrier, providing electron to electron transport system for redox process and generation of energy. Redox process means reduction oxidation process that I already explained earlier, that is addition of hydrogen is reduction and separation of hydrogen is oxidation, and vice versa in case of oxygen. Suppose you will consider the oxygen, the attachment of oxygen is oxidation and detachment of oxygen is reduction, but in this context, that is electron transport system, loss of electron is oxidation and gain of electron is reduction. So I will write it in the bracket, that is loss of electron is oxidation and gain of electron is reduction. That's why this process is called redox process. So we will see that further, and I already have explained it. Now the next point, so a molecule of FADH2 and NADH often result into energy generation equivalent to 2 and 3 molecules of ATP respectively, that we will see in electron transport system when I will explain that topic. But the thing is that we must note, or you are required to note this point, that 2 ATP equivalent is there in case of FADH2 molecule, while 3 ATP molecules can be generated when NADH will involve. So that is an important point. Now the next point, kinase enzyme work for transfer of phosphate group from molecule like ATP to carbohydrate or protein like compounds to make it in active form. This is important because in case phosphate is getting attached to a compound or biomolecule like carbohydrate, suppose it will attach to glucose, suppose it will get attached to fructose, it will make it in active form. Why it will be in active form? Because some sort of conformation change will occur, by their energy will be stored and it will be totally unstable, or you can say containing high energy. So it will involve in some of the metabolic steps, or you can say it will be involved in some of the steps of metabolic pathway. So that's why it is important to note. So several such biomolecules are also said to be the high energy compounds which are in phosphorylated form. What is the meaning of phosphorylation? Attachment of phosphate to some compound, that is called phosphorylation. Now we will see the next point. A specific role of enzyme and hormone is there in conducting different metabolic processes at cellular and organ system level. It should be noted because these are quite specific. Whatever requirement is there in the body, according to that particular hormone and enzyme will be involved. That's why I said earlier that glucagon and insulin has antagonistic role. Likewise, I also told you several hormones that used to involve in gluconeogenesis, and you know that enzymes are highly specific in their action and all sort of activities. So we already have read that. Now we will see the last point. Enzyme synthetase uses ATP for its activity while synthase does not. It is a fact, and it is an important point to note that we often have heard the name of enzyme synthetase as well as synthase. In metabolic pathways, these used to involve. Often in Krebs cycle, you will find the name synthetase enzyme. So also likewise, what difference is there? Firstly, we will see what difference is there. The difference is that synthetases utilize ATP for its action while synthase does not. Although by name they have some sort of similarity. Likewise, also we can see about other enzyme, that is also hydrolases utilize water to perform its action of hydrolysis. Hydrolysis means breakdown of some bond with the involvement of water. So that thing is there, or that's why I have written there that hydrolysis or breaking of the bond, while lyases
mostly cause formation of double bond with the result of separation of some functional group. So this point should be noticed because lyases are very important. We will see that in glycolysis as well as in that of Krebs cycle, that lyases often used to cause the breaking of bond, but somewhere double bond used to be generated with that action. Likewise, we can see the work of enolase, as enolase causes 2-phospho glyceric acid getting converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. So we will see the action of enolase. There what happened, that it will cause the action and there phosphoenol pyruvate will be generated. This we will find particularly in glycolysis. We will see that step. After that pyruvic acid is generated. So these all things are involved conceptually in the cellular respiration, or you can say cellular level bioenergetics. That's why these points are important. I summarize the facts here, whatever I told you in the lecture earlier. So you just copy it down and then after we will proceed to the other topic. Thanks.